All right, welcome back, everybody. This is the video for Chapter 12, Day 5. This is a day just to look at our algebra and make sure that our skills are up to snuff. We are looking at some topics in this unit that require some of these algebra skills. So just looking at a refresher. So watch this video, take these notes, and then our assignment will be a delta math for today. So the first ones are just multi-step equations. That's set one. These four are just multi-step equations. So making sure that we're going in the correct order of operations, PEMDAS. So number one, we have an 8 on the outside of a parentheses, so we're going to make sure that we distribute that in. And we have a 2 that we're going to distribute it on the right just at the same time. So we have 8x minus 40 equal to 6x minus 16. Okay, that would be our first step that we would want to look at. We would want to move the 6x over, okay, because there's more x's on the left. That means we're going to move the constants over to the right. I'm going to add 40 to both sides. Okay. On the left, all that's going to remain is a 2x. On the right, I have negative 16 plus 40, so positive 24, and divide by 2. So just making sure that we look first at the distribution property there. Okay, then looking at the second one, number 2, this is very similar. You want to make sure that you have a negative here that's outside the parentheses. We want to make sure that gets distributed in. So we have 167. This is a negative 7x and a negative 3 equal to 108. Okay, I would combine the 167 and the negative 3 into being just a 164. And then we're going to just subtract both sides by 164. That'll give us a negative, but no big deal, okay, because we have a negative 7 on this side anyways. So negative 7x, if you do 108 minus 164, that's negative 56. Divide both sides by negative 7. X is going to be a positive number, negative divided by negative, so it's going to be positive 8. Number 3, the whole thing is a fraction, so the easiest thing to do to deal with that is to cancel out the fraction by multiplying by whatever that fraction is on the bottom. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2. So that's the first step we'll take. We're going to multiply this side by 2. We're going to multiply this side by 2. That's going to cancel out these 2's. What we have left is 3x plus 15 plus 11x minus 5 equal to 94. Okay. What I would look at then is just combining these like terms up top. So I have 3x and 11x that make 14x's. I have 15 and negative 5 that make a positive 10. That's equal to 94, which means that 14x is equal to 84, 94 minus 10, and then divide by 14. So x is equal to 6. Okay, last one in the first set is the same idea. When I double both sides, I have to put this side in parentheses because that's going to be distributing. I can cancel out these 2's. So distributing this 2, I have 4x minus 14. Okay, then I'm just going to make sure that I distribute this negative in right away in this step just to save ourselves a step. We have 8x minus 47 that didn't change. We have a negative 3x and a positive 14 that I need to make sure that I'm combining like terms with. Okay, I'm not changing anything on the left side of the equal sign for this step. I have 8x and negative 3x that will make a positive 5x. I have a negative 47 and a positive 14 that are going to add to negative 33. Okay, I'm going to move the 4x over to the right. I'm going to move the negative 33 over by adding 33. Okay, on the left, I have 19. On the right, I have 5x minus 4x, which is 1x. So 19 is my answer. Okay, so those multi-step equations, just knowing what to do and in what order. Set number 2, these are going to be FOILing, okay, multiplying binomials. The way we do that is with FOIL. Okay, remember that the F stands for first, the O stands for outside, the I stands for inside, the L stands for last. Okay, so that's exactly how we're doing these ones here. Okay, F stands for first, that's x times x, that's x squared. The O's are the outsides, that's the x and the negative 1, that's negative 1x. I stands for inside, that's positive 8 times x, and L stands for last, positive 8 times negative 1 makes negative 8. Okay, check the O and the I, they should be like terms. So this is going to be x squared, positive 7x, negative 1 plus 8, and then negative 8 at the end. Okay, that's FOIL. So going through and doing the same thing, okay, 3x times x, that's going to give me 3x squared. 3x times 6 is going to be 18x. Negative 5 times x is going to be negative 5x. Negative 5 times 6 is going to be negative 30. Okay, check these two. They should be like terms, which means we can add them together. So final answer of 3x squared plus 13x minus 30. Okay, I'm going to skip 7 and 8. They're very, very similar. We're going to look at number 9 and number 10. So if it's a squared, what you're not allowed to do, okay, you can't just say it's this squared and this squared. You can't distribute the 2 in. Okay, what this means, x plus 9 quantity squared, is that there's 2 x plus 9s. Okay, then we FOIL. So make sure you expand, then FOIL. Expand, then FOIL. Okay, so we have x times x, we have x squared, we have the outsides are positive 9x, that's also what the insides are, and then we have 9 times 9, so 81. Okay, these two are going to make 18x's. So we have x squared, positive 18x, and positive 81. Okay, we'll look at that one more time. Expand, then FOIL. So this is 4x plus 3 twice. Okay, the first times the first is 16x squared, 4x times 4x. 4x times 3, that's 12x. 3 times 4x is the same thing, 12x. 3 times 3 is positive 9. These two are going to add together, so we have 16x squared, positive 24x, and positive 9. Okay, that's how we FOIL. And then going to move on, it's going to be going the other direction. So factoring. Okay, factoring, what we need to do is we need to look at the third number, okay, and we got to get the two numbers that multiply to the third number that add to the second number. So what we want is an answer that looks like this. Okay, what we should probably talk about are the signs. So if everything is plus plus, okay, we're going to use plus plus here in the final answer. Okay, we look at the first term. The first term is just an x squared. The only way to multiply it to x squared like that is just x times x. Okay, so that's what we're going to fill in right there. And then we're going to look at the factors of 21. It's either 1 times 21 or 3 times 7. We're going to pick 3 and 7 because they add to that middle number of 10. 3 times 7 is 21, and 3 plus 7 is 10. Okay, that's what we're looking to do. If the signs change, then your parentheses signs change for your final answer. So if we have something like this, where this is a positive but this is a negative, okay, if this last number is ever negative, it's automatic plus minus. Okay, we have to use 1 plus sign and 1 minus sign. Okay, again, all we have out front is an x squared, so x and x. So x times x is going to make x squared. Then we're looking for the numbers that multiply to negative 36 that add to 16. So we can look at the factors. Okay, and it's a little bit different for plus minus problems. None of those add to 16. Okay, 3 plus 12 is 15. That's the closest we can get. What we're looking for is subtracting to 16, since one of these numbers will be negative. And we want the numbers that are 16 apart. That would be 2 and 18. They're 16 apart. Okay, so we're going to use 2 times negative, so 2 times 18 will be 36, and 18 minus 2 is 16. So when the big number is positive, we're going to put the middle number is positive, we're going to put the big number by the plus. 18 times negative 2 is negative 36, and 18 minus 2 is positive 16. So this one is done. Okay. So I've shown you when to do plus plus. I've shown you when to do plus minus. The last one is when to use one of each, and that's going to be right here. So you use one of each when only the middle number is negative. Okay, that means we need to multiply to something negative, or multiply to something positive and add to something negative. The only way to do that is with two minus signs. Okay, it's the only way that's going to happen. So we're trying to, again, now add to 28, add to negative 28. A negative number times a negative number will be a positive number, but they'll add to something negative. So you can list all the factors of 96. Okay, the ones that you're going to want are 24 and 4. 24 times 4 is 96, and negative 24 plus negative 4 is negative 28. Okay, 14, okay, it has a big number, so that's part of the problem. But the other thing that's going on is it's going to be a plus minus again, so you have to look for that subtraction piece. So you can give that one a shot. You can click pause right now if you want, okay, and then I'll put up the answer. So if you gave it a shot, let's just check this. Okay, you need one plus sign and one minus sign. 247 is a really big number. Okay, so you look through those factors, and you want the ones that are going to be 6 apart. Okay, so the ones that are 6 apart, 19 times 13. Maybe that was kind of difficult to find, but 19 times 13 is 247. Okay, since the middle number is negative this time, we're going to put the 19 by the minus and the 13 by the plus. So you can check it if you don't believe me, but 13 times negative 19, that's negative 247. And 13 minus 19 is negative 6. All right, 15 and 16, those are special ones. These are called difference of squares. Okay, what we see is that we can do x squared is a perfect square. We can write it as x times x. 64 is a perfect square. We can write it as 8 times 8. So it is a negative. Okay, it's going to be a difference of squares. So this is always going to be the same kind of pattern. Okay, a plus b, a minus b. So you take that first thing, that's your first spot. X times x gives you x squared. Okay, since the last number is negative, we're going to use a plus and a minus, and we're just going to put an 8 and an 8. If you FOIL this out, you get an 8x here, positive, and a negative 8x here, negative, that are going to cancel each other out. So that's why this works. Okay, just a really quick version of difference of squares. Okay, these are shortcut problems. Okay, same thing with 16. When it's only two things, that's what I would check for. Are they both perfect squares? Okay, you can write 9x squared as the same thing times itself. That would be 3x times 3x. 3 times 3 is 9. X times x is x squared. 1 you can write as 1 times 1. So this is going to equal the first thing in the first spot, 3x plus the second thing, which is 1. The second parenthesis needs a minus sign, 3x minus 1. Those are called difference of squares. Okay, 17 and 18 are the hard versions of factoring, okay, because there's numbers out front. When there's numbers out front, you have to worry about you're not just putting x's in the first spots like we've done on 11 through 16. So it does make it a little bit tougher. First thing I might check for in that situation is a GCF. Okay, this one you can divide all of these by 4. 4 goes into all of these numbers. So I'm going to take a 4, put it out front, and I'm going to divide each of these by 4. 4x squared divided by 4 is just x squared. 4x divided by 4 is just x. Took the 4 out of 4x. And then negative 80 divided by 4 is negative 20. Okay, then I just have a 4 out front of my answer. I can change this trinomial into 2 binomials. Okay, now I don't have a number in front of the x squared, so I'm going to use x times x. The 20 at the end is negative, so it's going to be a plus sign and a minus sign. And then I'm looking at the factors of 20 that are 1 apart. 5 times 4 is 20, and 5 minus 4 is 1. So I want the 5 by the plus and the 4 by the minus. Okay, 18, you don't have the opportunity to take a GCF out. 2 and 28 have something in common, but you can't take a 2 out of the middle term, which is just a negative 1. So we're stuck like this. We have to factor. So the only way to get 2x squared, we have to use 2x for one of them and x for the other. Okay, we do have a negative at the end again. Okay, when we look at 28, we have 1 times 28, 2 times 14, or 4 times 7. Okay, we're trying to get, again, since this is negative 28, we're trying to get a subtraction, something that subtracts to negative 1. Okay, none of those subtract to negative 1. 1 minus 28 is negative 27. 2 minus 14 is negative 12. 4 minus 7 is negative 3. So none of those work, but what you got to remember is whatever you multiply by this one has to get doubled. So for example, if I do 2x times 4, that's really 8x's. Then I have 8x and 7x. Those are 1 apart. So I want to set this up so that I get a negative 8x, so a negative 4, okay, a negative 8x, and a positive 7x. So 2x, okay, would need to be multiplied by negative 4. Those two give me negative 8x's. That if I put the 2x here, I have to put the x in this spot, so I get 2x squared when I FOIL that. Okay, negative 4, I have to put a positive 7 here so that I make sure I multiply to that negative 28. Okay, just to show you what happened here, we have a positive 7x from those two. We have a negative 8x from those two, and those add to negative 1x. So this is my answer. Factoring gets tougher when there's a number out front. Okay, last set for our algebra review piece here. So if you're looking here at 19 through 24, it's very similar. We're still factoring, but we're factoring and then we're solving after. So first step is going to be just to factor. Okay, the way I'm going to factor a little bit faster in this piece. Okay, so we have a negative middle term, and that's the only thing that's negative. So we have 2 minus signs. The two numbers that multiply to 20 and add to negative 9 would be negative 4 times negative 5. Okay, this is equal to 0 now. This is what's different. Okay, what we're doing now is solving. We're not just factoring and then stopping. We're solving for x. So I have something times something equals 0. Okay, this gives me 2 possible answers. This parenthesis could be 0, so I'm going to set that equal to 0 and solve for x. So that gives me that x is equal to 4. What that means is 4 is one of the solutions that make the equation equal 0. If you plug 4 into the original equation, you get 0 out. The other answer comes from this parenthesis, so x minus 5 could equal 0. Add 5 to both sides. Okay, that gives us x equal to positive 5. So those are the two numbers you could plug in that make that equation equal 0. And nothing else would work. The one thing to watch out for, okay, for these problems, okay, is that the equation must equal 0 first. Okay, set the equation equal to 0 first. So something like 135, okay, we have to move this 135 to the other side of the equation. So what we're really factoring, x squared plus 6x minus 135 equal to 0. Okay, so we're factoring that. We have a negative final term, so we're going to do x plus, x minus. Okay, this is going to be equal to 0. We want two numbers that multiply to 135 that are 6 apart. 15 times 9 is 135, and 15 minus 9 is positive 6. Okay? With big numbers, the factoring might also get a little bit tougher, so just be careful. This gives us two possible answers. So the thing that would make this parenthesis 0 is negative 15. Okay? Negative 15 plus 15 would be 0. The thing that would make this one 0 is positive 9. So we're kind of flipping the sign when we get that final answer. Okay, number 21. Okay, make one side equal to 0 first. So I'm going to move everything to the left. I'm going to move this x over. It's going to combine with that negative 9x. And then we have to move the 24 over as well. Okay, so what's happening here? The x squared stayed the same. We have negative 9x and negative x. That makes negative 10x. Okay, and then we have a negative 24 after. Okay, the last number is negative, so we're going to use a plus and a minus. Okay, so we're not looking at the numbers that add to 10 because there is an option for that for 24. 6 times 4 is 24 and 6 plus 4 is 10. Since we have a negative 24, we're looking at what subtracts to 24. That would be 2 times negative 12. Okay, 2 times negative 12 is negative 24. 2 minus 12 is negative 10. Okay, that means that x equals negative 2. Flip that sign. And x equals positive 12 would be our answers. Okay, if I put a negative 2 into the parentheses, I would get a 0. If I put a 12 into the parentheses, I would get a 0. Okay, number 22 is going to be very similar. I'm going to go ahead and skip that. Number 23 is going to be a good one to look at because it has something a little bit tougher about it. Okay, what it has is I have something that's not equal to 0 first. Okay, it's equal to 6, but I can't subtract that 6 over until I FOIL this out. So I need to FOIL first. Okay, you can go through those steps, but I'm going to do it quickly here. If you FOIL this, it's going to be x squared. Okay, you're going to get a negative 4x and a positive 1x that will make negative 3x's, and then a negative 4. 1 times negative 4. That's equal to 6. I need to move the 6 over. Okay, set equal to 0. And then that's going to give me x squared minus 3x minus 10 equals 0. Now I'm going to factor. Okay, and then that's going to be x plus x minus. We're looking for the numbers that multiply to negative 10 that are 3 apart. That would be 5 and 2. We want the 5 by the minus since we have a negative term in the middle. So, and then our last step is going to be to solve. Okay, if we have x plus 2 as one of our parentheses, then that means x equals negative 2. It's one of our answers. X minus 5, that means x equals positive 5. Would zero out that one. Okay, last one I'll do is just an example of the tougher factoring. Okay, first thing we're going to do is set equal to 0. So we're going to move the 3x over and the 9 over by subtracting them. So we're going to have a negative 3x and a negative 9 on this side. Okay, this is harder factoring because there's a number out front. When that happens, okay, what I need first, since this 9 is a negative 9, I need a plus and a minus. Okay, I'm looking for the things that multiply to 9 that are 3 apart, but one of my numbers that multiply to 9 have to get multiplied by 2. So what I want to try is a 2x here and an x here. It's the only way I can get 2x squared. Okay, I might have the plus and minus sign backwards, but we'll figure that out as we go. Okay, one thing we could look at is 1 times 9, but if I have to double one of those numbers, they're not going to be 3 apart. The only other way to get 9 is 3 times 3. Okay, let's see if that works. So we have positive 3x here. Okay, these two make negative 6x, and those add to negative 3x, and that's what I got right here. Okay, so that's perfect. This is factored the right way. So what I need to do to finish this off is set it equal to 0, and I need to solve this. I'll show a little bit more work for the solving part for this one, because 2x plus 3 could be 0. Okay, it takes 2 steps to solve. Subtract by 3, so 2x equals negative 3, divide by 2. So you could do a decimal if you want, but negative 3 halves would be that answer. Okay, this one is just x minus 3 equal to 0, so you don't have to show the work for that. If you can just see, all you need to do is flip the sign. So the 2 answers are positive 3 and negative 3 halves. Okay, that's an algebra crash course. Okay, hope you enjoyed it. It's going to help us with a lot of the algebra the rest of the way, and some of it's stuff we've already been doing here in Chapter 12. So thanks for watching. Today's assignment is a delta math.